welcome back to Balanced Psychologies. My name is Anushka and I'm a trainee psychologist and a clinical practitioner, and I make videos about mental health and well-being. Okay, so in today's video I wanted to talk to you about what basically a narcissist never does in a relationship. And I wanted to make this video because I wanted to make you aware of the things that you would expect as kind of like common courtesy from a person that you were in a relationship with, but with a narcissist, you're not going to get this. Okay, and so I'm hoping that this video or this information will kind of eliminate some expectation that you are kind of hoping that the narcissist will give you, but they won't, if that makes sense. So perhaps, so some of you who are not in a relationship with a narcissist, who kind of have got over that, and you have to stay in communication with a narcissistic person for whatever reasons, maybe you have children or you have assets together. So I'm hoping that perhaps this might kind of refresh your mind on information that you already know, and it might help you to kind of eliminate those expectations that you might be having or might have. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what the narcissist will never, ever do. Okay, so let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that I really need to mention here in the video, the first thing that a narcissist will never do is apologize. Admitting that you're wrong is uncomfortable for most people, but the give and take in relationships at times calls for an acknowledgement of fault. And healthy people usually know when they owe an apology and are willing to give it. Whenever we interrupt or fail to deliver on a promise, say something hurtful or lose our temper beyond reasonable bounds, we offer an apology to show our respect and that we care. Narcissists don't tend to apologize, and they don't do that. Well, some might actually, but it's never genuine, and needing to see themselves as above reproach, they believe that they never do anything wrong, and their sense of superiority over other people reinforces the belief that other people are inferior and that they deserve to take the blame, and that they should never apologize and that they don't do anything wrong. I just want to go into this bit. So sometimes a narcissist will, they'll express faux apology. Okay, and that, again, that's just one of the words that I use. It's not a term that is in the clinical guidebook or anything like that. I just call it a faux apology, which basically is to deflect any blame back onto themselves. So it's like a fake apology, basically. So for example, a fake apology or a faux apology is something like, oh, I'm sorry you're so sensitive and that you can't handle real life. So something along those lines. So the second one that I want to go on to is a narcissist will never take emotional responsibility. So above all, narcissists do not take accountability for their actions in relationships. Narcissists are insanely sensitive to fault and blame and responsibility or any other kind of triggers that kind of expose them to criticism. So they're very averse to taking responsibility, that they systematically stage their lives to avoid it and to become masterful at denying it. And they protect it so that other people will take responsibility for it, particularly those closest or the ones that are near to them. So something else that a narcissist is unable to do is self-reflect. Narcissists are terrified of their own selves, okay? The long hidden childhood within them, or this kind of inner child that they have that is hiding from the reality. And they're hiding from feelings of shame and inadequacy, and they repress and overcompensate for this feeling of shame and inadequacy. So comparing that to emotionally intelligent people, they use self-reflection to understand themselves and learn from feelings and experiences. All right, so for a narcissist, they don't have that ability to self-reflect, and they find it or they see it as dangerous territory to be avoided at all costs, because it represents an unbearable kind of feeling of vulnerability in them. And you know, there's nothing worse that a narcissist doesn't like or do is that they feel vulnerable. And there's nothing that a narcissist will avoid and doesn't want to feel, and that's vulnerability, and especially emotional vulnerability. This is why narcissists tend to avoid honest communication. They rarely seek therapy, and they resort to having raging outbursts and situations to blunt the truth. Another thing, the fourth thing that I want to include here, are narcissists find it very difficult to forgive. For the same reasons, narcissists don't apologize, narcissists don't tend to forgive. And to them, everyone represents a potential threat, or they need to be defeated. And what happens is the narcissist becomes hypervigilant to perceived, or more rarely, real attack. So they're always looking out for this kind of attack that's going to happen. And for a narcissist, life is a battle zone. Narcissists regard any kind of hurt as cause for retaliation or revenge. So if someone apologizes to the narcissist, they see it as proof of their superiority. And they may take this as an opportunity to further punish that person for whatever he or she may have done or may have not done, or they feel that they have done wrong. So genuine forgiveness is not part of a narcissist's emotional understanding, and fundamentally because they do not or unable to forgive themselves. Narcissists are also unable to act selflessly. Selflessness and altruism is not something that a narcissist has understanding about. I mean, this takes a lot of emotional understanding to have altruism and be selfless. Because narcissists lack emotional empathy and have an inflated sense of self and entitlement, acting selflessly is beyond their comprehension. And at their core, you've got to understand that these people are hurt individuals who cannot understand themselves. And they have nothing to give because they feel that their survival is always at stake. So nothing else matters. So when you are in that kind of mindset, how can you then try to connect to others when you're always trying to protect yourself? Nothing matters because you're just always trying to protect your survival. And that's where narcissists' mindset are basically at. Narcissists are dependent as sources of psycho and emotional supply, but cannot return the unconditional love that they demand. The narcissistic personality, by definition, is locked in and intertwined in this kind of inward spiral of early childhood unmet needs. And what happens is they have this grandiose compensatory self mode. This is them trying to deflect. That's why this happens. So they are really dependent on sources of psycho and emotional reward. Narcissists, and this leads me on to the next part. Narcissists are unable to express their real feelings. So I wanted to put this in because I thought it was really important to add the fact that narcissists are unable to express their own real selves. They thrive on the attention and the drama, and there's no more fascinating topic for a narcissist than themselves. But when it comes to their real feelings, I'm talking about their real feelings, they hide. They hide from others and from themselves. Their lack of self-awareness is to understand the underlying feelings that drive their behavior, as well as their courage to make themselves vulnerable. So they lack self-awareness to understand these underlying feelings that drive their behavior. And, they don't have the courage. What they do is they make themselves vulnerable enough to share little bits of feelings with others, but they can't do that. Genuine intimacy is not something a narcissist can manage. They're unable to connect to themselves, let alone to you, so they compensate it in other ways. And this leads me on to the next bit. So narcissists see emotional nuance. Though they may be clever enough, particularly at manipulating people and spotting their vulnerabilities, narcissists lack an awareness of emotional complexity. And what happens is they are more prone to simplistic and extremist black and white thinking. It's either this way or that way, there's no in between, and they can't see in between. So they tend to either idealize or devaluate others. And they protect their own cynical view, believing that others see life the way that they do. And they think that everybody sees life as a series of games or battles that need to be won. So if we look at the way of trying to be in a relationship with a narcissist, okay, even the most healthy being, even the most empathetic, even the most wonderfully kind person would not be able to change this in a narcissist. They are trapped in their own lonely, self-protective distortion of their own reality, and they can't get out of it. This is why therapy is unable to work on a narcissist. So when it comes to trying to understand why a narcissist doesn't do these things for you, or these expectations that you have from a relationship with a narcissist, they're not able to do it because they just don't understand it. They're not wired that way. They're not programmed that way to understand it. So I really hope that this video makes sense and you're able to make sense of these concepts. Narcissists are really unable to do any of these concepts mentioned because they have tendencies that prevent them from being able to self-reflect, connect to their inner self, or be able to understand themselves on a deeper level. This has happened because of their dysfunctional childhood that has caused them to basically create this kind of tough exterior and banish their real, authentic self. Usually this happens because they have been rejected from a caregiver or a parent that would have basically caused this to happen. And this is a terrible thing to happen to a person, to be able to not be able to connect to yourself, to not understand or know your authentic self. This is why narcissist or sociopathic people have these tendencies, and they're able to disconnect from reality, they're able to disconnect from their emotions, and some of them are terribly successful in their work. They just do not see the things the way that we do, and they never will, and they have this dysfunctional distortion of what they think reality really is, but they're not able to see your point of view. So it really would be a waste for you to try and negotiate or trying to get them to understand, and for the reasons why I've pointed out in this video. So you know what, guys, I really hope that this video helps you to understand, you know, talking about these concepts on this subject. And if you want more information, I talk about this subject over on my Patreon membership. If you would like to join, I have put the details in the description box below. I also go live over on my Facebook page, so please do access the link in the description box below. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.